Hey, this is my reflection on chapter 4 of technical writing. I found this chapter pretty interesting because recently I've been doing some scientific research. So I've had the opportunity to read several scientific papers, and right now I'm working on writing one. So I just wanted to go over a few of the primary principles I learned from the chapter. So firstly, I'd like to talk a little bit about the balance between positive space or space with things in it like text, images, versus negative or white space. And it's good to have both of these on a single page so that the reader isn't drawn to too many different places, and also they don't get tired of looking at the same page for a long time. One important principle that goes along with this is the principle of visual weight, or the idea that bigger elements that have more interesting shapes, they're brightly colored, they have high contrast, or they're closer to the edge of the screen, they have higher visual weight, so they're going to draw the eye more than something that's more boring, basically. Also, I wanted to talk a little bit about the importance of both contrast and repetition. So contrast helps the reader to distinguish between things that are supposed to be different. So something's different, it should be significantly different, so it's not too similar and confusing to the reader. One example of this is headings, which should usually be done in a sans serif font to be seen from farther away, and body text, which is usually done in a serif font, so it's easier to read for long periods of time. Versus repetition, which is the idea that between the same kind of element, they should have consistent formatting. So all the headings, they should have the same font size, the same font, the same color. They should look similar, and the same kind of thing for the bodies. They should have the same font size, the same font, and they should be similar in that way. That also plays a little bit into alignment, which is the idea that our text and images, they should be aligned along invisible lines, like a margin, for example, or something else, so that our work looks more organized. It doesn't look kind of like a mess with things all over the place. Especially topographic alignment, or the text alignment in technical writing pieces, is typically left justified, so that will probably be what I'll be doing. Also, there's the idea of proximity, or that grouping elements together should be elements that are associated with each other. For example, a graph with the paragraph describing the results of that graph. I've seen this hasn't been done the best on certain scientific documents. I've seen some where a graph is on one page and then the paragraph describing is on the next. It's definitely kind of annoying to have to scroll back and forth to see what the author's talking about. So that's definitely something that I'm going to focus on a lot. Also, the idea that there should only be between 3 to 5 elements per page, just because it's important to leave some white space, again, so the reader doesn't get tired of looking at the same page. Also, there's just not too many things on a single page. Finally, I'd like to talk a little bit about colors. So there's the complementary colors that are obviously directly across from each other on the color wheel. But I also learned a little bit about color triads, which are 3 colors that are equidistant from each other on the color wheel. And these are usually a little bit more interesting. They bring a little bit more like vibrancy to the work. There's also analogous colors, which are colors directly next to each other on the color wheel. And these are usually a little more subtle, a little more chill. And this is probably a little bit more appropriate for scientific writing. Finally, just talk a little bit about illustrations. They should always have clear captions, titles, and numbers to easily refer to them. And really the goal of all of these different principles of good document design is so that we first make a good impression on the reader. They trust us, they believe the stuff that we're writing. Also to make it clear and understandable so that they can easily see what we're trying to say. They can easily get the meaning of our text, and they can learn from it. And really all of it plays into the overall design process, which is that we empathize with the reader or the viewer, then we plan how we're going to transmit our message, and then we prototype and revise to continue improving our work. Thank you.